Disclaimer. We are two regular guys who love to talk Bone Thugs and Harmony. We do not represent Bone Thugs or any Bone affiliate. We are also not Bone Thugs experts. The views and information you hear in this podcast may be based on personal opinion. Please feel free to leave corrections and clarifying information in the comments. And enjoy. Kick that shit. What's up, y'all? It's Cecil West, Beyond the Harmony, beyondtheharmony.com, back again with the one and only
Jonathan Lippy.
And our special co-host of the evening.
Yes, indeed. I am Matthew Weaver.
And this is Thug Thursday, the final official Thug Thursday of the season. We made it, boys. We actually made it.
Made it to the end. This can't possibly be the end. Tell me it's not the end, Cecil.
Well, I mean, you know, it's never really the end with us. And we've been saying it the whole season. Now, this was going to happen on episode 8, but then we got an incredible interview right at the end. So, you know, the plan has always been to actually end it with Thug Thursday Live. I think it's one of the most favored segments that we do. And we're really going out with a fucking bang next week on the 4th, Thug Thursday Live, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're in the live chat. And that'll be the official ending. But tonight is the interview ending, the recorded ending. I don't know. The non-live ending.
It's a season finale-esque. Yeah, the interview season finale. And also for that live, from what I hear from Cecil, and this is for you guys to prepare, make sure you get a good night's sleep the night before if you wanted to participate, because this thing may be a marathon of all marathons, from what I understand.
I had to work it out in shifts. I plan on going so long for Matt and John to make sure I always had a fucking co-host. We're looking to go big. I'm looking to bring on some alumni. I'm looking to bring on some affiliates that have never been on the show. I'm really looking to have a great time, make sure that you guys can call in. And I'm willing to go the distance because we haven't done a live in so long. So I'm willing to go the distance.
Is right now the time to reflect on our past guests or your favorite moments from season 3?
I mean, yeah, I thought we'd do that in the live, but we could do that now. Whatever. I'm with it.
I have nothing off the top of my head. I loved every single week. I thought everything was great. I love that we had content every single day for 2 straight months.
Yeah. And, you know, I think there was a lot of really great moments this season. I would say that the not unexpected, that's the wrong word. The standout that's not technically connected to the storyline or expanded the storyline in a big way was Silky Fine. That just brought us so far outside of the realm of what we regularly do. And I had a lot of fucking fun on that one, but we had some great moments. I mean, dude, Jazz, Silky Fine, like I said,
started with
Tony
Blaze.
Tone. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, real standout moments for me were some of those. We'd had Blaze, you know, a few times, so that was a fun, comfortable interview, you know, because we're such good friends at this point.
Yeah, we had
Cleve, Freaky
yeah.
G, you know, so and every interview, Bruce Hathcock, every interview was like we learned something new, and it's Beyond the Harmony. It's what we do every time. But I my favorite may possibly be what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, and is tonight a bonus episode? Is this the ninth interview or the eighth?
This would be 8. This is the
Okay,
8th episode, and the live is now the
the
bonus.
bonus.
Mhm.
Gotcha. And there's actually a bonus upon the bonus. I know by now it's a little old when you guys hear this, but we did that interview with Houdini Black and some of the
Yeah,
seven.
on Vigilante Radio. And I think in the off season we'll try to chop that up and give some of the highlights. But you can check out Vigilante Radio on all podcast platforms, and hear our it's a very long interview. We were there a long time, and yeah, that was a fucking good time too.
Just
It was
want
a
to
lot of fun. Big respect to Houdini Black for knowing who to invite on the show with Beyond the Harmony.
Yeah,
And you guys probably aren't going to mention this, but since the face got revealed, game got real. You two guys showed your faces.
yeah.
right.
Well, John's. It's funny because John doesn't show his face on Beyond the Harmony just because we don't do it. But I think a lot of people probably check out his page and know him. Although you have been more less seen on social media with your purging of Facebook so much. So if you're a new listener, they probably don't know you like that. And then me, yeah, ain't no thing but a chicken wing OG.
Yeah, if you guys are into philosophy and crazy deep thoughts, questioning reality, go over to youtube.com/Jonathan Lippy. You can look at my face all day on there if you'd like. Most of it's just narrations. It's not always all about me. It's about the subject matter. Sometimes it's about me. So you can check me
Yeah.
over there. I rarely even plug that, but that's an option. And if you're into Tupac, go over to the White Book by Machiavelli channel. It's tons, like 75 plus Tupac videos on there as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I got a question for you also. Just this past week, as this recording happens, we had a new pilot episode. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So you see the expansion of the network. The network is now in full motion. We've added Matt onto the team, and you see we're doing a brand new the Appetite for Thuggin' with Capone Bone, who was in season 1 and has always been a cool affiliate. And it's completely like, when I say the network, that's just what I mean. Like we have an affiliate who's not doing anything with music. He's doing more like checking out, I guess, foodie kind of things. I don't know what the actual terminology for that kind of thing is, but he checks out all these different restaurants and kind of reviews the food and shows you his life in between. And that was just the pilot. And just like our pilot, if you go listen to our pilot and look at our original pilot compared to now, the growth is tremendous. And I've had a lot of fun with Appetite for Thuggin', and I think the growth there is going to be real good once we get 5-10 episodes under our belt.
Yeah, that and there's potentially other. We've always wanted to expand that Beyond the Harmony Network. You can see that we have the intro for the Beyond the Harmony Network, and we've always been trying to grow it over the past week, which is 4 weeks ago now. I was reaching out to people that I saw had great posts online, and I said, "Hey, man, turn this into a video for Beyond the Harmony. We'll post it." So the offer is always still out there for collectors,
Indeed.
for anybody that's doing creative things for under Bone, Mo Thugs, and all that. If you want a place to put it out, we have a large audience, and we're always glad to see what you got.
Yeah. And, I think that even though the season's wrapping, like the off season's even more important. The more teammates we have, the better it will be. And we have some teammates right now that are waiting in the wings, so to speak. I think when we get to the off season, you'll see more from Matt. Plus we have a couple other guys that we're working with right now, Capone, and we may have another affiliate, a couple affiliates in the wait for shows. So it's going to be an exciting time even when the season ends. But before we get to the season ending, tonight is a big one to wrap everything up. It's been a mystery topic to so many fans. I think we got more questions for this interview than we've ever got on a previous interview. Tonight, from the original generation of the Seventh Sign regime, Mr. Majesty. What a fucking insane way to end.
Yeah. And the Heavens movie, not Bizzy Bone, but the Heavens movie just brought that majesty into our lap. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It seems the fans are looking forward to this one. We've never seen as much commentary for someone that wasn't Bone Thugs and Harmony as we have seen for Majesty. So
I think
it
it's
was
the mystery.
exciting.
The mystery, and that's always what we like here. The mystery of Faces of Death, the mystery of Night Riders, you know, the mystery of Graveyard Shift. And I think there's a lot of mystery around Seventh Sign Regime, around Majesty, and even, I don't want to tell it now, okay? But even the story on how Majesty connected with us is insane, and it actually connects to a video that I've already done and connects to a future video that's going to drop. This is a crazy, it's going to be a crazy night. It's going to be a crazy story. I really can't believe we're here doing it. We've had a lot of surprises, a lot of fun this season, but we're going out with a bang. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we are back, we will be back with Mr. Majesty. Stay tuned.
You are listening to Beyond the Harmony. Stay tuned.
And we are back. Cecil John and our guest for the night, Mr. Majesty, formerly of the Seventh Sign regime. He is featured on the platinum Bone Thugs and Harmony album, The Art of War, Bizzy Bone's Heavens movie, and earned a gold plaque for his work on the Blade soundtrack with the song Blade for Glory. Mr. Majesty, I am so pumped to say, welcome to Beyond the Harmony.
What up? What up? Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. It's actually really crazy because in this show, you know, we do interviews and we always have the fans that are like, hey, you should get this guy or that guy. And Mr. Majesty has been like since season 1, such a requested thing. And I think so much of it is just the mystery around you and Seventh Sign, and I'm hoping we uncover a lot of that tonight. But before we jump into that kind of thing, I always kind of like to start at the origin, especially with an artist like yourself, like I said, that we know so little about. So, you know, the first thing I would say is that I always noticed about you that kind of stood apart from the early affiliates is you're from New York, is that right? Born in the Bronx or raised in the Bronx? Like, what's the origin?
Yeah. So I was born and raised in the Bronx. Shout out Northeast Bronx Valley, big up, stand up. But I was raised in the Bronx. I was always a b-boy. You know, when I moved to Columbus, Ohio, I was already fully ingrained into hip hop. At that time, I was Kid Majesty. At that time, I befriended Bizzy through one of my homies, Big Tone. Bizzy took a liking to me and we became friends. So before the rapping and all of that, we were actually kicking it every day and playing basketball and doing different things. But I am originally from the Bronx, born and raised. So I think that I had a clear understanding of hip hop music. Yeah. I understood beats. You know, I understood trends and styles. I didn't have the intricacies of the workflow, but I definitely understand how to construct songs and how to, you know, make things that people wanted to hear. So I had what I would consider identity, but I really didn't have a direction and how to get there.
So let me ask, how old were you when you actually started to rap? Like when you became an MC, was that something early on, or was that something you found later?
Yeah, so I started to rap at 5. Actually, I still have a VHS recording of me rapping Lottie Dottie, Slick Rick, word for
Oh
word
shit.
at
Yeah.
5.
Wow.
So I've never not been what I would consider an entertainer, right? I've always, to some degree, wrote rhymes and, did talent shows. I always went to acting schools. So I went to acting elementary school. I went to a theater middle school. I went to a theater high school. So it was always geared for me to be in some type of entertainment. Rapping was just more of the avenue because I am from the Bronx. So I was already very familiar with battling and rhyming and things of that nature. So I had a good grasp on emceeing and, you know, um, things of that nature.
So you've been in entertainment, before ever hooking up with Busy, and you've been, kind of doing it. Did you have any like highlights as an artist pre-Busy, or was like Busy and Seventh Sign kind of like the big jump off for you?
Well, I think worldwide, right? So I think that, the one thing about Bone is a juggernaut, right? So anything that you do with Bone is always going to be larger than life because they are, right? So then that automatically thrusts you into a light. I think that I've found what I would call local success, right? Because I was in a situation to where I was one of the best rhymers in my neighborhood. So, I was always called to battle people. I released, what I would consider local mixtapes and things of that nature. I did do a few national commercials, but that was acting prior to meeting Busy. But as far as national, as far as actually doing it on a level of a professional level, I would say that was my introduction into that type of system.
We had talked about your name a little bit ago, and something that I've seen pop up continuously that I think will be a great thing for you to clear up for fans is that there seems to be some confusion with some fans about another rapper named Majesty in the group, The King and I. Now, his real name is actually Roderick Williams. Has that ever been said to you or asked if you were the same guy in The King and I? Because even online, some of your songs with Bone are linked back and credited to him, and The King and I were also a group from New York.
Right. Actually, I didn't find that out until I think The Art of War came out. I think that one of the biggest things that Busy did, and now looking in hindsight, he understood the importance of individuality and branding. So when I did The Art of War, I used I used my name, which was Majesty. That's a very generic name, right? It doesn't really have a specific imprint on an individual. That's kind of just Majesty. So Busy changed it to Mr. Majesty. And that's why you see the change of the name, so we can copyright it and also sort of own it, because that was running in a lot, because we had a few New York rappers and some abroad named Majesty, because that was just such what I would call a generic name at the time, because it didn't really have, it wasn't Sir Majesty or Mr. Majesty, something to individualize, something to make that my own. And that's why Busy went to change the name from Majesty to Mr. Majesty, because even on the blade, it's Majesty on there as well. So I did have some issues with both of those names, using them simultaneously, confusing people. So yeah, I did, but I never really had a personal conversation with anybody in that group. I'm not familiar with them personally.
It was a smart move by Busy. He's always been business centric and business focused, and kind of,
Right.
I think that he's taken even heat for in 95, 96, 97, being so focused on the business that he would rather not do certain things versus have them do them wrong. So I think that was a smart move to make, you know, making sure that you were easily identified.
Right.
And the forward thinking too of like the internet and how people look you up, you know, was
Absolutely
smart. So we had talked about you being a New York MC and kind of that being a different than like that Midwest style of Bone. Did you and Bizzy click immediately, or was it, you know, like did it take some time to sell yourself as far as I'm a rapper? I know you guys were friends, but like did that happen kind of easy or?
Well, yeah, I think that Bizzy's probably seen, and this is my perception. I think that he probably seen a lot of himself in me. We're around the same age. I was pushing just as hard. Obviously, you know, I was not in a position to. I didn't have the connections or know the right people, but I think that he's seen the hunger in me and the drive. I think that more so than not, I was able to fill a void or a space to make myself valuable. I think that's extremely important in any relationship that you have, whether that be romantic, whether that be friendship. I think that once you can create a space that you can call your own in a lane, you'll have a lane on that highway, right? So you'll always be a part of the flow of that system. And I think that's where I found where I could be an asset. I wasn't just a rhymer. I helped with other things. I carried bags for years. You know, I did things, you know, that ego would prevent other people from doing. But in the long haul, I've seen great success in that type of hard work, dedication, and loyalty.
It's always important to remember that you can't be a good leader if you're not willing to also mop the floor, which is something that I learned early on, that the best leaders are willing to do every job right up to carrying bags. So I think that's pretty cool that you were willing to be a team player and realize that ego is some bullshit. When did it become, what was the conversation when you and Bizzy kind of decided, hey, I got this thing that I'm doing and I want you to be part of it? Like, did you always know that Seven Sign was a thing, or was that like one day it was like, hey, I got this
No,
thing?
it was definitely not always a thing. I was working. He called me and said, "Hey man, listen, today's your last day." I said, "You bugging out?" He said, "No, today's your last day." He got 2 or 3 plane tickets. It's the first time I've ever been on a plane, let alone first class.
Wow.
So we on the plane and we riding to LA. You know, I'm nervous. I'm on the plane. He said, "You know what? We're gonna start our own thing." So, you know, me, I'm thinking, okay, I'm 16 years old. I'm looking at Bizzy like, okay, man, we're gonna start our own thing with me, right? So we thinking of names, and if I'm not mistaken, B calling, if it's wrong, I was like, man, Seven Sign is dope. He's like, man, that's a dope name. We're gonna be Seven Sign Regime, man. It's gonna be me and you. So the whole time, the whole flight, 4-hour flight from Columbus to LA, I'm like, yo, this is gonna be, and I'm overwhelmed, you know, because you say you want something and then it's there. Now the reservation kicks in, right? So I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna be able to do this? And when I got there, man, I was almost thrown off by how what I perceived as superstars embracing this little skinny kid from the Bronx that talks funny, that nobody understands for real. And just, you know, the love that Lazy showed me, I felt like I grew up with them, you know. And Seven Sign was born in the studio in LA, man.
Wow.
You know, so, you know, and just to kind of further serenade the realness, Lazy was like, "What's your name?" I was like, yeah, I'm Majesty. Da, da, da. My nigga Majesty. These niggas is after me. But I lost it, you know, because then I realized that I was fully ingrained into something larger than life, man.
Do you remember what year roughly it was? I'm guessing it must have been like 96.
End of 90 and beginning of 96, maybe mid
Yeah.
90s. Yeah, beginning in 96.
Yeah, that makes
Because
sense.
we released it, we did it, I think the beginning, but released it towards the end, the double disc, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
So it came out the same year, but it was a double disc. When I got to LA, only a few songs was done. The Pac song was done. The Biggie song was not done yet. So yeah, they was just making an album.
Yeah.
You know,
and that was, of course, like the first taste for us as fans was you being on The Art of War, and
right.
something that has stood out to us as fans, and I say this with the most respect, is we didn't know who the hell Majesty was, and all of a sudden there's this guy who's got two different songs rather on this double disc, and a completely different style than we have heard in Bone Thugs culture before. You know, so it was really exciting for us. And, you know, you and Bizzy had the Seventh Sign song on that album. And that was like our first, like, you know, what is this? It's something that always stood out to me about that particular song. The Seventh Sign one is like, your second verse is like a minute and a half long. Like you went off on the Seventh Sign track. Like were you surprised with all the cuts that were made during the the Art of War, that like that long verse was left? Because you know that album's notorious for all the cuts that were made to it.
Yeah, I think that I mean, I could just attribute that to Bizzy, you know, his determination to make this shit work. You know, this has to work. You know, I brought Majesty down here. I got faith in Majesty. He's a spitter. You know, he's a bulldog. I'm gonna put him on the track. I'm gonna let him live. You know, I think that because I didn't rap like Bone, and because it was so outside of the norm of what y'all used to, it allowed me to kind of bring y'all into my world, to where ordinarily maybe our two worlds may have not have fused.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that it kind of made my lyrics larger than life at that point, right? Because it was so abstract from what y'all were used to hearing. So they definitely did me a great service by doing that. And I'm always grateful. To this day, I would consider them friends. You know, they've never done anything to me where, you know, I don't really have too many stories of, you know, listen, this is a business, man. Friends is friends, money is money. You know, they didn't have to do that. I'm from the Bronx, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know, for them to even be like, yo, all these people that we dealing with, that we grew up with, that we love, that ride with us, that's for us. Yo, I'm gonna fuck with Said, man. Said got something special. And I took a lot of slack for that. It was rough being Mr.Majesty in 96, 97, 98. You know, simply because I wasn't a part of the Mo Thug construct. Shout out to Mo Thug. Shout out to Soldier Boy, Mohart. You know what I mean? People that I consider friends. People that if I see today, I'm like, yo, what up? You know. So, but that's just to say that Bizzy did that Seven Sign shit out of his pocket. We didn't have no record company money. That came out of my man's pocket. So at the end of the day, it was like, yo, whatever loss we took, that's a loss he took for his family, for a group of cats to smoke blunts and travel the world and do shows and hopefully make songs that pop. So, it's um it's humbling, because um I never asked for anything or received anything I didn't earn. And that's why I could still pick up the phone and call any of them,
I think it's
So let's stand up.
I think it's amazing for you to point out that Seventh Sign Regime was funded directly by Bizzy. Mo Thugs had a big, deal. They were signed to an actual, company that could do distribution. So for it all to come out of Bizzy's pocket and for us to be able to identify the major difference in the funding of these two companies, I think that alone helps explain a lot that Bizzy took that situation on himself. And we know that Seventh Sign didn't exactly come to the terms that you guys may have envisioned, but do you kind of remember the original like goal and the original plan for Seventh Sign and kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
what you guys were aiming for?
yeah, absolutely. I think that the initial goal was um, for us to obviously come out with albums and then some type of compilation. But Mr. Majesty was supposed to come out first. I actually recorded an album um, with my dude Otis Sharp called Critical Thinking. I think the album was a little bit too hip hop-ish, right? I think that um, I was still maybe too confined in the construct of um, late 90s rap when things were maybe changing over to more melodical,
Yeah.
more sing-songish um, type of music. So I think it was hard for me to intellectualize that and then take that into the studio and um, create something that my fans expected to hear. Because the thing about it is, you heard me on Bone, but on the Bone thing, I was still trying to function within the construct of what they created while being different, but still being in unison. So it does not just sound like a sore thumb. So when I was able to record my album, I don't think that I think that it's a classic hip hop album, but in the business standpoint, I don't think that that would have been the correct first album for me and Bizzy to put out. I think Bizzy's seen that, but as a friend, I think that, you know, he probably didn't want to just say, hey, you know, I love the album, but that's not pretty much what we're, what it's, what the people want from you right now. And again, me trying to be young and navigate through things and him putting, because again, this is all on his dime. So we don't have money to play with. Everything that we do is highly strategic.
Do you remember
You
what
know?
year that was roughly that you did that album?
I think it was probably 2000, like 99, maybe 99, 98, 99.
Okay.
Yeah, it was between 98 and 99. It was um, right after Heaven's movie. Um,
Something you've continuously said and just alluded to is just like how selfless Bizzy kind of was in this situation and the way that he was really like just pushing you and something that always stood out to me and I think other fans is you have a song on the Blade soundtrack. We can see the plaque sitting behind you. And I've always kind of wondered how that opportunity came together and just the fact that, yeah, Bizzy Bone's on it, but he's only on the hook. Like this is like Majesty
well, yeah,
Bizzy Bone.
yeah, that's it. Okay, well, all right, B, I'm gonna give him this story. So we were sitting in Nashville, just bored. We was recording Heaven's movie. We had a real resourceful producer, Eddie B. He's extremely resourceful. Eddie B takes a walk over to the ASCAP building, which is because we was on Music Row in Nashville. I don't know if you know Music Row. It's a whole bunch of publishing companies in one street. You know, that's where the songwriters live. So they go take their songs to get published in real time so they can, deal with the royalties. But anyway, so Eddie B decides to get up on his own. He walks down Music Row. And a couple hours later, he comes back with this guy named Nathan Crow, right? Nathan Crow, we should have heard a name like that. You already know some bullshit, Nathan Crow, right? But anyway, yeah, we should have seen that coming, Nathan fucking Crow. But anyway, so Nathan walks in, he's elated, Bizzy's there, he's pitching us this new Wesley Snipes movie, and we should all be involved, and Eddie B is pumping it up, and I'm excited because I'm about to make me some money. So I'm like, he's like, yeah, Bizzy, you could do the song, Bizzy like, man, I ain't fucking with that. He said, Majesty, you do it. So I'm like, oh yeah, man, that's great. So he walks out the room. So it's me, Nathan, and Eddie B. So Nathan's like, well, that's not really what we signed up for, that's not what we're going to do, right? So we need Bizzy on the track. This is how this is going to work. And they offered me some peanuts, right? So I went downstairs and I pretty much, in the lack of a better term, said, hey, B, man, I need this money. I need this opportunity. Please, I need you to do me this favor. This is a favor. He said, man, bring that goddamn beat down here. He knocked that shit out, no lie, in like an hour. He did it in an hour. That shit got me a gold plaque. That shit is nutty.
Yeah.
That's some nutty, that's just some real nutty shit for real. And it was a favor, for real. I mean, he passed on it. He's like, I said, go ahead, man, that's you. And I appreciate that. And that's what I'm saying, just to have the ability to be like, you know what? Because nobody knew what Blade was going to do. Nobody knew that was going to be the biggest vampire movie that, you know what I'm saying? But just for him to be like, yo, you can have it, but I knew at that point in time, I was learning the business. So I knew the importance of having the right people on it. And I knew that me and Bizzy always record together. So for me to ask him to do a quick favor would have been a lot easier than Nathan Crow coming in there trying to sell some bullshit.
Beyond the harmony for the fans we celebrate.